Lovelies, welcome again on this channel. Here is the sewing tutorial of this dress which we drafted previously, which I have uploaded. If you have not seen the video of the drafting of this dress already, I'm going to link it up here and it's also in the description box. The first thing we want to do now is go ahead. I've notched the silk which we are going to be using for our frills, just so I can know which part goes up and which part goes down. I'm going to be joining all of the pieces together, so I'm going to be joining them together into one long strip, and after that I'll just take out my patterns of my fabric pieces, and the first thing would be for me to go ahead and join that bust area with the 0.5 seam allowance which we left, and I'm just going to be joining it like so. I'll do the same thing to the other side on my sewing machine. So now I'm joining the frills, which is the silk which I'm going to be using, together just to make it into a strip into one length. Then now I'm joining the bust area. You have to ensure that the notch on the bust area, which is your bust points, meets on the same point while you're sewing, just like you're seeing it right now. Then you sew it right there till the end. I will do the same thing to the other side as well. I'm just going in with notches. I'm just notching so that by the time I press that, I'm going to have a good curve right there. So here it is, and the next thing will be for me to iron that part and make that into a frills. Here is the upper part which are going to be joining like this, but we are not going to join that just yet. I'll go ahead with my back pieces right now, and I'm going to take in my darts. Now that that is done, I'm just going to take the upper part of the front, which is sort of like a yoke, and I'm going to join front and back shoulder together. Now on my skirt piece at the center back, I'll just mark out the 8 inches for my zip, then I'm going to sew the rest. Now on my sleeve pattern, I'm going to take out my pattern and I'm going to be joining my side seam together first. Please pay attention as we go through this. I'm going to be joining my side seam together, side seam first, right side facing the right side, just like we normally do. Right there in between that space which we are leaving out is our inseam, and that's where the frills is going to go into, and that's why we are not joining it just yet. We are going to be joining the side seam of the sleeve. Take out whatever allowance that you left originally, and that's what I'm going to be doing now, taking out 0.5 inch allowance which I left to join this part, which is the side seam, together. I hope you can understand this gist. Alright, so I'll take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew it, then I'll come back and show you what it looks like when I'm done. Now that is ready, I've also gone ahead to overlock just to give neat finishing, and here's what it looks like. So if you have done this correctly, this is what your sleeve should look like, and by the time you put this together, it should be correct. I've also gone ahead to cut a lining piece, and just for this front part, the other part is not going to be lined because this fabric is a little bit thick. So right now I'm placing side seam and side seam together, and I'll go ahead to take in my 1 inch seam allowance just to join this front to the back. Alright guys, if you have not subscribed to this channel, I think this is a good time for you to do so. Press the subscribe button and join this family. Thank you. Okay, now we'll take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew the 2 side seam. Now that is done, here is what it looks like. Look at how beautiful that looks. I've also gone ahead to overlock that part. I've also gone ahead to add a facing to my neckline, and then we are going to continue from here. I'm going to add my frills, but just before then, I'm going to be arranging this. Just arrange the sleeve to face you, just so you don't get confused while you're trying to sew or put all of these pieces together. Match up the side seam with the side seam of the sleeve, which is the armhole now. I hope you get me. And I'm going to be pinning in place, and I'm going to be sewing just like you see me right now. So ensure that all of those points match just before you sew them, and then after this sewing, the sewing of this part is done, the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead to add my frills. I'm going to be adding my frills this way, just like you see it. I'm going to match the center of the frills which you have gathered. This gathered part is what I keep referring to as frills. Pin the center to the center of my bodice, and I'm going to be pinning it in place like this. And then I'm taking it to the sewing machine, and I'm going to be joining. I'm just going to pin this just so you can see what it's going to look like when we sew it. So just be patient with this process. It can really take a while, but the result is really worth it. You get this neat and finished dress piece, and you know it's really worth all of the work. So now that is done, you can see that I've joined that frills to that open part. So next thing now will be for me to join this right side facing that, and I'm going to join also the sleeve, that part, the inseam that is still open on the sleeve, join it together like this. So by the time I sew it, this is what it's going to look like. Now the sewing is done. You can see those ends are already closed, and the only open part is this part of the armhole, and we are just going to be joining that also. Match up the center line of your sleeve also to the joining on the shoulder. Match that up like this, and then after that is done, I'm going to be adding up my skirt, sewing it, matching center of the bodice to the center of the skirt, which is the flare we cut earlier on, and I'm going to be sewing that together. You can see that the little which is like 0.25 that we removed from our measurement helped that to just match properly. We didn't have any excess. After that, I'm going to be sewing this part of my seam which I left, that is the hem line of my sleeve. And now that is done, here is what our piece is looking like. It's really beautiful. Our dress is coming out really nicely. Now I have a matching zipper, and I'm just going to be attaching my zipper to my dress just like this, and after that I'm just going to be placing this dress on the mannequin, and I'm going to show you. Here's the finished look of this dress. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell so that you'll be the first to see every time I post a new video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.